almost 300 chapters long. What could possibly be going on with the story?
Hello, I'm Solar Bean, and we're keeping it casual today with the YAP session video. I've been catching up on life in general and commission work, so no art-based content for now. Special thanks to everyone who supported my comms and Ko-fi so far. All funds and reposts have been most appreciated. To help regulate, I've been turning to my relaxing hobbies, one of which being reading webcomics. And while there are many great ones on independent sites, I'm gonna talk about Webtoons for now. This is where a sponsorship ad would be if I had one! I've been reading Webtoons since about early junior high, and needless to say, it's gotten extremely popular over the years. Originals, big advertisements, animated shorts, to fully voice-acted chapters. While we didn't have all those fancy things back in the day, it was still a treasure trove. So many comics, all for my free viewing pleasure. One problem was I ended up dropping a bunch of them, even ones I was super invested in. So today I'm going to go over all the ones I remember the most and see which ones I should start reading again, on a scale from 1 to 5. Big disclaimer before we get into it, this is all my own opinion. I have no ill will or feelings towards the creators of any of the webtoons presented here. Comic creation of any kind is a true labor of love, so I have the utmost respect for all those involved in it. If you like any of the webtoons I rank really low on here, please know it's nothing against you, and it shouldn't affect any of your feelings toward them. So without further ado, let's discuss the webcomic that got me into webtoons as a whole, Space Boy. After being forced to leave her space colony when her dad was fired, Amy starts to adapt to new life on Earth in a time period 30 years later than her own. There, she'll stumble across a story about an alien artifact, mysterious murder, and a boy possessed by an emptiness as deep as space itself. Amy was the first time I learned about the neurological condition called synesthesia. The kind Amy has specifically makes her relate people to flavors, which led to really interesting points in the story. I do also really like the futuristic setting and how layered it was, with Amy being from a different period of time entirely. And I like how most time travel and futuristic things go, where the MC is from our timeline, so we see them react to stuff in a future timeline. She's already in the future, so it's a different point in the future, if that makes sense. I thought it was really cool. I was hooked in by the slice of life aspect, and also was very delightfully surprised at all the crazy, sometimes thriller-like twists and turns.
He's just standing there, menacingly!
I'd tell you all about them, but I'd rather not spoil it and have you go check it out for yourself. Now, I ended up dropping this one because it took a break and I forgot to check back in. There was a whole lot of new chapters when I did, so I just never got to reading them. I'm gonna tell you this right now, this is gonna be a common reason as to why I dropped most of the webtoons on here. Unfortunately, my attention span is super selective. As of making this video, it looks like it's on hiatus. I don't feel a rush to read all of it right now since I really want to study it more. I still adore the art style and panel direction, and I'm saving it as a reference for when I make my own comics. I definitely do see myself getting back into it very soon, so I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Second is Siren's Lament. In the many tabs of my old Google Chrome app, this one was front and center. And yes, I'm now aware that there's an easier way I could have been reading webcomics, but leave me alone, okay? I was young and silly, and I learned my lesson the hard way when my phone died and I lost all my progress. This one is about a mundane flower shop owner named Lyra. When she finds her comfortable lifestyle suddenly uprooted, get it? When a handsome siren accidentally curses them both. Or rather, he was trying to pass on the curse to her and ended up getting them both half cursed, so they have to figure that out together. Yeah, it's about as awkward as you would think it would be. The art style and its calm, pretty vibes paired super well with the story, and it caught me at a time when I was really into mermaids and anything ocean adjacent. The dynamic between the MC and her possible love interests, Ian and Sean was really nice too. I also really loved the side characters Pele and Tua, and it was such a beautiful detail to give Pele locks, because as a black woman myself, if I were living underwater, I would not want to have my hair all over the place like Ariel. Cartoon Ariel, not live action. That one was really accurate. With that all being said, why would I drop this comic since I clearly really liked it? And simply, I lost interest? I think it was around the time it became clear who Lyra would end up with. The story was clearly hitting a peak, and instead of staying for the ride, I got sidetracked and dipped. Years later, I heard that it ended, so in a totally rational move, I jumped right to the last chapter. And yeah, I wasn't confused in the slightest. Can't say I was unhappy with the ending, but of course it would have been best for me to have read everything in its entirety to fully appreciate the story. So I'd say that it gets a 3.5 out of 5. Next is I Love You. After a childhood of misfortune, the MC decides that she wants nothing to do with people or romance at all, only for her mundane lifestyle to be challenged when she ruins the clothing of a mysterious, unsuspecting stranger. Despite liking the MC and 2 out of 3 of the guys she'd possibly end up with, I dropped this one because I had no clue where the story was going. I was pretty engaged at the time, but the narrative became really lost on me. The goals of all the other webtoons I was into seemed pretty clear with driving the plot. Siren's Lament was to cure the curse, Space Boy was to solve the mystery of Oliver and save him, but I Love You, I don't know. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I assumed it was all following the life of these teen characters, so technically it could have kept going all the way through their high school and then college years. You'd think that would be the case since it's been out for 9 years and still going! It's almost 300 chapters long! What could possibly be going on with the story? Granted, this isn't uncommon when it comes to webtoons. They're truly an investment as an author and a reader. I'll admit I'm curious to see what dramas have gone down since I left. Last thing I remember clearly was the evil rich mom getting her wig snatched.
Oh my gosh! She's bald! She's bald and she's torturing people who have hair!
So there's no telling what's happened since then. I think I'll give it a 2.5 out of 5. Now on to Let's Play. Oh boy, this one's gonna be a lot. Aspiring game developer Sam finally releases the project she's poured years of work into, only for a popular gamer she's idolized to play it completely wrong and slander it in a video, which leads his toxic fanbase to bomb reviews on the site, ruining her ratings entirely. He's also her new neighbor. How fun for her. This one had just about everything I was into back then. Relatable MC whose life I could see myself having once I was an adult, nerd humor, romance, drama, and a cute animal mascot. Me being in my mid-teens at the time is super relevant considering the mental shift that would start for me. But before we can get into that, I have to rant about the love triangle, or at least what I was assuming would be one. You see, I've always been into story tropes, so naturally I picked up on patterns. Early on, the comic presented us with 3 prominent male characters: Marshall, the gamer neighbor, who accidentally ruined Sam's career, Link, Sam's childhood friend who works at her favorite cafe, and Charles, the cool, mysterious head of Sam's department at work. Kinda reminds me of dating sim options now that I think about it. Was that on purpose? Cover art used to show these 3 with Sam all the time, so I began to speculate who she'd end up with. Knowing webtoons can't just jump into these things, her endgame would have to wait at least another season or 2, with some build up along the way. So out of the roster, Link was up first. He was nice, a part of Sam's daily life, and already had feelings for her, so I rooted for them even though I ultimately knew it wouldn't last. I just hoped their relationship went in nice and smoothly. Ha! As if! Not even close. You see, this guy wasn't nearly as good for Sam as I previously thought. He spent a good first portion of the comic being so worried about making the wrong move and messing up their friendship, only to shoot his shot and mess up anyway. Why did he all of a sudden have the realization he wasn't attracted to her at all? In fact, he only saw her as a sister, not friend, sister, which is fine. I'm all for characters having complex relationships. There's nothing wrong with having a deep connection with someone that doesn't go past being platonic. But he knew her for years. Now, of all times, he figures out that he actually doesn't feel some type of way about her. Mind you, Sam's very insecure about her looks and lack of dating experience, and she was just starting to get comfortable and fall for him. Ugh. He gets with her friend afterwards, by the way.
You what?
Yeah, if you haven't noticed, I take romance in media very seriously. Which, oh dang, is that why all the webtoons I've been reading have romance in them? Am I just now realizing that? Anyway, Marshall is up because, obviously, he's going to be in game with Sam, right? They're basically the 2 MCs of the comic after all. What other option could there possibly be? In another turn of events I didn't see coming, Sam and Charles became a thing. Though I shouldn't have been too surprised, Marshall had his own relationship issues going on, and frankly, I can't remember him and Sam having enough interactions to have any chemistry bloom between them. Not that I was understanding Sam and Charles's connection either, but I didn't hate it, and I kept reading until the season's finale. I had full intention to keep reading once the new season started. But remember that mental shift I talked about? Yeah, that's when it happened. Going from my mid to late teens gave me a more mature perspective on things. A lot of stuff that I didn't have an issue with and went completely over my head all of a sudden came to light. One of which being power imbalances in relationship. Sam and Charles have an age gap. Not a huge one, but I started factoring in other details. No matter how I looked at it, the scale always seemed to be tipped in Charles's favor. Charles had way more experience than her in every aspect of life, and he was her boss. Which, side note, Sam's dad is the CEO of their company, but she's still working under Charles as a regular employee. I would have liked it more if Sam developed a crush on Charles while he mentored her, but ultimately for it to fizzle out once she found a new love interest. It might have been a good way for her to get more experience as a late bloomer, while simultaneously getting over Link and her insecurities. But from what I last saw, that's not going to be the case. Now, I could have judged their relationship too quickly. It could actually work out really well for them and the story, but I am and forever will be an overthinker, and honestly I don't want to keep stressing myself out over the logistics every time I read a webtoon, so I put it down. Apparently a lot has happened since I've done so. The comics transferred from Webtoon to another site, and it's got an anime. Intriguing, but I can't say that my feelings have changed, so 1 out of 5. Second to last is Lore Olympus, a modern retelling of the taking of Persephone myth. Witness the Greek pantheon with all their messy dramas and surprisingly normal flaws. The friendships and the lies, the gossip and the wild parties, and of course, forbidden love. Aw man, this one's gonna be a lot. Much like Let's Play for me in terms of how I experienced it, so definitely a lot. My interest in Greek mythology all started way back in middle school. Somehow I never got into Percy Jackson outside the movies, but I nitpicked them all the same. I was surprised to see how off the depiction of the gods were in most media. It felt so unfair that gods like Zeus and Hades were always good and evil. Sure, the king in the sky being the nice one makes sense in a biblical telling, but come on, that guy's got a longer rap sheet than the fates have rolls of string. And poor Hades kept getting stuck with being depicted as the devil. I went to a Christian school, so no one was ever willing to hear me out, which only fueled my interest more. Of course, liking Hades meant that I also learned more about Persephone, and I took whatever small crumbs of their story that I could. Now, I'd seen Lore Olympus on Webtoon's main page plenty of times before I actually bothered to read the summary, and when I did, you can imagine how stoked I was. Finally, a retelling of the myth of Persephone and Hades that was actually a love story! It was a dream come true, and so many chapters were already out by the time I got to it, so I binged it and eagerly awaited for every update. It was a fun read. Until it solely wasn't. There were many factors as to my growing disinterest, but I'll keep it at the romance plot. Like Let's Play, Lore Olympus got me in the time when my tastes and mental maturity shifted significantly. And the similarities didn't stop there. At the start of reading, I didn't care much about the age gap between Hades and Persephone, but after a long while later and rethinking all their interactions, I did. Very, very much so. For context, in pretty much every iteration, the duo won't be the same age. Hades is a part of the earlier generations of the Pantheon, while Persephone is later down the line. So while it is reasonable for Lore Olympus to keep that accurate, I don't see why Persephone had to be 19. As in 19 freshly going into college. As in frontal lobe ain't done cooking while Hades over here is in his thousands. And yes, they're gods, so mortality works differently. He's been around a long time, but mentally he's like mid-30s to 40s, which while better is still not great because why would a guy at that age want anything to do with a 19-year-old? What connection could possibly have started between them? And even if I was to ignore the age gap, there's still other things to consider. Hades, for one, is a highly ranked god. He's practically royalty amongst Olympus. Meanwhile, Persephone is still pretty new. And he's also her boss at some point in the story? Just too much. Way too much keeping them separated. You can't even do the whole, oh, well, she's so mature for her age, which, let's face it, that's never good. Because for one, she's been in the mortal realm her entire life. She is sheltered in every form of the world in the context of this story. These two took everything that felt off about Sam and Charles' relationship and multiplied it by 10, 20, 100. Only thing I didn't mind that I saw a lot of people pointing out was their height difference, and I'm not even against that. I'm guilty of that myself. This all would have been more than enough for me to drop the comic, but the other factor was the plot direction. Unlike every other webcomic I've been reading, this was the only one where there was an existing story that it was based off of. So I knew what was going to happen for the most part, and if it was going to stick true to the myth, then it was going to be a long time before it ended. Lo and behold, my prediction was correct. Lore Olympus didn't end until June of 2024, about 4 or 5 years after I officially stopped reading it. I did initially plan to read it once it ended, but my tastes in Greek mythology adaptations have changed significantly. Same goes for how I like seeing the underworld's royal couple being portrayed. So Lore Olympus is going to have to get a 0 out of 5. Now before we get into the last one, here's some honorable mentions I remembered along the way but can't fully remember enough to talk about in length. My Dear Cold-Blooded King, Sub-Zero, Boyfriend of the Dead, Boyfriends, Home Sweet Home, Midnight Poppyland, Blades of Fury, Furry, Blades of Furry, and Suitor Armor. Last but not least is Castle Swimmer. Two young merfolk are bound by similar faith and prophecy. Kappa, the beloved beacon of the sea, foretold to bring light and prosperity to all. Meanwhile, Siren, the prince of the sharks, is foretold to kill him in order to save his people from their curse. Of course, neither is on board with that. It gets even more complicated once they develop feelings for each other. So in order to save everyone they care about and defy their own fate, they have to go on a dangerous but wonderful adventure together. Similar to Siren's Lament, this one was also during my mermaid phase. One big difference though is that this one is completely underwater. It's so cool. Great world building. Sometimes I actually forgot they're underwater. It just felt so natural. It really hit all the marks for me in terms of lore, characters, plot direction, angst, art, and romance. Oh, I really regret ever putting this one down. And from the glimpses I saw from recent chapters, I regret it even more. Darn you, selective attention span! Much like Space Boy, I want to pick this one back up, not just because I enjoyed it, but because I want to study it more for my own creations. And hopefully that will be sooner rather than later once it comes back with its new season. So it's going to get a 5 out of 5. So that is all. I will say one thing all of these had in common is that they helped shape my view on webcomic creation. So even the ones I don't intend to revisit and I did rank pretty low, they were still a learning experience. Did you read any of these webtoons? Do you think I should reconsider my rankings based on whatever I missed? Or better yet, do you have different recommendations for me? I've got a long roster already, might as well throw more into the pile. I'll get to them someday, eventually. Hopefully. So until next time, bye!